I'm Ann Simmons in the newsroom of the Los Angeles Times. Not surprisingly, last week's killing rampage in Isla Vista triggered renewed debate about gun violence, the mental health of America's youth, and whether there were warning signs that could have helped prevent the tragedy. But what was surprising to some people was that it also sparked a conversation about male privilege. The Los Angeles Times' columnist, Robin Abcarian, has picked up on this issue and joins me to discuss it. Hello, Robin.
Hi, Anne.
So, Robin, male entitlement, is this basically something that feminists have picked up on? Is this kind of valid?
Is it a real thing?
Yes.
You know, it's interesting how such a terrible tragedy has provoked what is ultimately a political discussion about gender relations. But I think this young man's manifesto was so full of grievance against women, against men who have had successful sexual relationships with women, and a sense that it was his due to have any woman that he wanted. And this, of course, struck people as so over the top and crazy, and also symptomatic of a larger question in the culture, which is, why do men at any stage feel that they're entitled to access to women's bodies without treating women like fully formed human beings, which this kid apparently was unable to conceive of.
But you say, you know, men in general. I understand that this actually triggered or created a hashtag, hashtag yes all women.
Right.
And there was a bit of a backlash because men came out and said, well, listen, we're not all misogynists.
That's right. The hashtag yes all women was a sort of just a floodgate of confession from women about the things that they have experienced. You know, feeling like, you know, women are sent off to college with rape whistles while men are not. Women who have to take extra care walking down a street to be safe. Women who are told by some random stranger walking down the street, hey, why aren't you smiling? You know, it's a sort of invasion of boundaries of women that men do not experience. Well, of course, enlightened men responded with the hashtag not all men. And that's true. Not all men are rapists, not all men are sexist. Of course that's true, but that wasn't the issue. The issue is that women walk through the world in a different way than men do, and it's because of their gender.
Now, to what extent does this actually speak to the larger conversation, the larger dialogue about female subjugation and inequality?
Well, I'm not sure subjugation is such a great word when we're talking about, you know, American women particularly. It's a great word when you use it about Nigerian schoolgirls who have been abducted by Islamist extremists. But we see, for example, in our culture, Hillary Clinton's probably running for president in 2016. So the attacks on her age and her looks and her health have already started. Why? Because she's a woman. I mean, we see Jill Abramson, the first female executive editor of the New York Times, being really brutally fired, you know, without any of the niceties normally accorded men who are flicked away from that position. So that too unleashed this sense in the culture that women are treated differently, and it's given rise to discussion of something called the glass cliff. Now that women have gotten through the glass ceiling, they're in the top jobs, but they're in very perilous, precarious positions when they're there, and they get flicked away very easily, like Jill Abramson was.
It's such an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you for your insight, Robin.
Yes, my pleasure.
For more on this story and others, please visit latimes.com and follow us on Twitter @LATimes.